I've been trying to get that one off my IMDB for so long. You're going to mention 50 Shades of Grey next, aren't you? I also daren't go near an edit suite. If I went into an edit suite, I'd be hung, drawn and quartered for all the bad decisions I made. I'm looking through the camera and I'm witnessing a performance that I'm just going, this is my little private cinema. I'm in my private cinema before millions see it.
Hello and welcome to the BIFA Podcast with me, Joy Hunter.
And me, Karis Aldridge. Each week we'll be talking to a brand new guest about their journey into film, their most inspiring cinema-going experiences, and what makes independent film so special. We've had some incredible guests on,
We have been spoiled.
Will Poulter, David Johnson, Tim Key. Please do go and check those out because they are brilliant.
And this week was no different. We were spoilt once again because our guest is the incredible
Seamus McGarvey.
Cinematographer extraordinaire.
Has shot absolutely everything. So incredible. He's got a number of kind of long-standing creative relationships, including Joe Wright, Lynn Ramsey, Sam Taylor-Wood. So we dig into all of those incredible titles with him. Of course, Die My Love, which was a big BIFA winner this year.
And he also worked with Lynn Ramsey on We Need to Talk About Kevin.
Yes.
He shot 50 Shades of Grey. He shot Nowhere Boy.
Nocturnal Animals.
Yeah, the list goes on and on. He shot Atonement. We talked about that shot in Atonement. That was very exciting. It was just an amazing chat from a bit of a different angle about the craft of cinematography, how you get into it, and his advice. And he spoke so beautifully about his work. It made me want to become a cinematographer, which is something that I'm obviously not qualified to do.
It's so inspiring to be in a room with. So yeah, I hope that you'll be inspired as well.
On that note, please do enjoy our chat with the incredible Seamus McGarvey. Beautiful clap.
One take one.
Perfect.
Action.
Sweet. You're a pro.
Or as a director I worked with in Germany used to say, he'd never say action, he'd go, und bitte.
Ooh,
which is a really nice way for actors to, and Lorna's the same, she doesn't say action, it's whenever you're ready, or I love that because there's no imperative to, because the clapperboard is so emphatic, isn't it? And it people think that it's like a starter gun.
It kind of like puts you a little bit on edge, whereas you just want the scene to like unfold naturally.
Just let it evolve.
We're very happy to welcome you to the podcast, Seamus McGarvey.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for
Joy and
Thanks
Karis.
for
It's lovely to be here.
I'm so excited to chat to you today. You've worked on some of mine, I'm sure Joy's like favourite films ever. So to get to dig into your filmography is just incredible.
Well, thank you for having me along. It's lovely, and a nice chair as well to sit in.
And a good chair as well.
We do our best.
But where to start? So Seamus McGarvey, we've had a lot of actors on our podcast. We've not had a cinematographer before. I think cinematography is sometimes a term that people find a little bit hard to understand exactly what that means, and are you a DOP if you're a cinematographer, and there's a lot of all of this stuff. I was reading an article with Roger Deakins when he was asked to define cinematography, and he was like, I've got no idea what it is, which I thought was quite funny. But we'd love to ask in your own words, what is a cinematographer?
Yes, I kind of understand Roger's kind of inability to define it exactly, because it's different film to film, what I do. And, I think essentially it is imagining pictures from the page to the screen and helping to be a translator of written word into images, into photography, and using all the tools of cinema that I know about. I mean, there are many. It's such a young art, but it's so multifarious and expansive, those tools. But in my department, in cinematography, camera movement, the choice of lenses, the thinking about rhythm. That's very important when you watch a scene in a rehearsal, the how the actors rehearse a scene in the morning when you're setting up a shot. I'm thinking about the metronome. I'm thinking about the previous scene that we may or may not have shot. I'm thinking about the scene that's going to follow it. I'm thinking about how these images sit together and what this opening shot will follow behind. So it's not just a series of standalone portmanteau scenes, that the film as a whole will have this continuum. And so that you choose your lenses, you choose how the camera moves. Lighting is paramount for me. I love lighting, and I love the simplicity of lighting. I'm learning as I get older and older. I'm very old now. To be as simple as I possibly can with lighting, and that usually makes my practice better. I don't, overdo things. I was very proud once. I met a cinematographer that I'd worked with as an assistant, Eduardo Serra, sadly gone now. But I met him in the street. He was shooting a film, and I said, "You've got to see this film I shot, Eduardo. It's in the cinemas now." And he said, let's meet at the weekend and I'll tell you what I thought. And so we met up for a coffee that weekend, and I was all excited to think that he would give me great praise, because I was so proud of this terrible film I shot. And he said, "On your next film, you must learn to switch off more lights."
Ooh.
Blunt and to the point.
It was to the point, but very, very
helpful.
good advice and helpful advice. Just switch off more lights. In fact, a lot of producers I've worked with would be very glad to hear me say that.
Deleting a few rows from the budget spreadsheet.
Exactly. But it is that. It's simplicity is usually a great approach to have, and to have the confidence in doing things with simplicity. I'm not saying don't have vaulting ambition towards complicated approaches, but make them reduced in terms of the through line, because that makes it more powerful for an audience taking it in, as long as it's done with artistic love and it's done in synthesis with your director, and it's in tune with the material, the writing. That's what I love doing. I love the run up to a film when you're thinking into the words and picturing them. It's really lovely to think. I mean, I'm just getting goosebumps just thinking about it, actually, because it is about that dialogue that goes on. When I worked with Tom Ford, for instance, on Nocturnal Animals, after I'd met him for the first time, he said, "I'd love you to shoot this film, because you're actually the first person, DP, I met who came in to interview, who didn't bring in a big bag of books and told me how the film should look. I just wanted to hear how he saw it, and I also wanted to talk about the script." And he said that's tremendously liberating, because together with all the departments, we can talk into the film, firstly, before this sort of totemic power of pictures overwhelms. And that way you kind of take imagery that's very distilled and is right for that particular project. That's what I really love, is that you talk about a film in a democracy of ideas with all the other heads of department, and it makes it, you gradually throw out a lot of chaff and unnecessary higgledy-piggledy images that just usually cloud the epicenter, emotional epicenter of the film. So that's something that I love doing on that film particularly, but I've brought it to bear on other films, unconsciously sometimes, but certainly with directors like Lynn Ramsey, for instance, the same approach is true. With Lynn, we never do storyboards, or we talk about the film certainly and really are specific, but there's elasticity for roaming, pictorial roaming on the day, and that is a great release and relief as a cinematographer, but it's also a great relief for actors too, who feel that they're not penned in, that they're kind of free to have some movement. And I like that in lighting too, that actors have space, because I used to shoot a lot of dance films, and I like seeing people move in a space and in movement, and how expressive the choreography of an actor's movement and their wordless trajectory through a room is can sometimes be more expressive than any word.
The film that you were talking about there, that you were being a bit mean to yourself about, is Winter Guest, which was directed by Alan Rickman.
Did I say? That's right. Sherlock.
Which is great. I clocked it as you were
Alan,
saying
I didn't
it.
mean it was a terrible film.
No, I think you
I'm
were just being a little
I meant terribly
self-deprecating.
photographed because I was such a neophyte, a youngster who didn't know what end of a camera to look through. I don't mean it was a terrible film.
No,
Alan Rickman,
no.
I'm so sorry.
It sounds like you weren't really into film at the beginning because your cinema, I believe, burnt down at the age of 12. So
did.
maybe
Yes,
it was a bit of a hurdle in terms of being able to discover film, but that your segue into it, I guess, was stills photography and
Yes.
getting to like understand the language of how a camera works and feels. So it'd be interesting to kind of hear you talking a bit about your early childhood and, you know, developing those stills in your dark room in Northern Ireland and like experiencing, you know, life through a lens at that age.
I love looking at things through a lens because I love how it distances you from the real. There's something like that wee magic box of a camera. It's like a divining rod. When you're looking for something, when you're looking for sensibility, when you're looking for an emotion, that camera is like, it's like a ghost hunter for phantasms of feeling. And that camera and that lens, when you look at something with well, I've got maybe a wider field of view with my gecko eyeballs, but like when you lens something, you're effectively editing it, and you're editing it in both the kind of field of view, but also in your depth of field, and the way the camera travels through whatever scene you're looking at. So those are things that I got really excited about before I knew what end of a camera to look through when I was very young, and it was 14 or whatever. I had a dark room in the house in Armagh, as you said, and these were like complete discoveries, revelations to me, literally, when I would like tip the developer an image from a negative that I thought I saw through the camera was suddenly evolving in front of me, and whether it was altered by the stock that I'd used, whether it was infrared, for instance, or a high contrast black and white stock. It was just black and white at that stage I was shooting with. It was so different to how I saw it. And I saw the power of the transmutation of the real through a lens and through the device called a camera. So that for me was just this kind of installation of a love for photography and the magic of its translation of the real. I didn't realize at the time, but I was thinking about stories and editing at that point, because I did an exhibition using a little Bolex camera, like a 16mm camera, because it was cheap, because I could shoot on reversal film, and I didn't have to buy a roll of 36 exposures. I had a whole roll of thousands of exposures, and I could print them in strips. So I would do a shot and then do another shot and then do another shot, and the strip became like a storyboard.
Oh, wow.
And I would print them as such. And I didn't realize, it was just unconscious that I knew there was travel, there was time being told. So that started me thinking about narrative, effectively telling stories in the one, because I loved stories, I loved reading, but I didn't feel part of it. Even if I read a book, it was being read at me, it was written by somebody else. So suddenly photography unleashed my own way of looking and telling a story. So that gave me such pleasure. So after that, I just never looked back.
Yeah. There was an art teacher that also kind of, at secondary school, that saw a lot of potential in you and encouraged you to pick up a Super 8 camera, and that kind of helped to...
Well, teachers are fantastic. I mean, teachers you've had and that have inspired you. you never look back when you've had a great teacher, and I just thank teachers everywhere who inspire children, as I was at that time. Just they saw some flicker of talent, because I was useless at school. I couldn't count. My maths was terrible. I was kind of a truant and a naughty child, and I did find a love in art, and it was an interior world, and it was being inspired by painters and looking at photography. And we had this teacher, Declan Ford, who was so inspiring and had this great kind of enthusiasm for art, and it wasn't pretentious in any way. It was just about seeing with love, and he taught me about looking in the real, which when students said to me, how should I become a cinematographer, I said, just look around you. And that's what Declan did for me. And eventually he said, look, there's this Super 8 camera. It's a rusty old Super 8 camera that's sitting around, but you should do something with this. And I bought a roll of Kodachromes that you just send off and it comes back the processing is included in the price. No longer, sadly. But I shot this film and I used it to apply to film school, but I knew nothing about cinema. I just knew about looking through a lens. It was only when I came to film school for the interview at Polytechnic of Central London that I had this terrible and embarrassing epiphany about cinematography and cinema framing, in that I'd photographed the cathedral in Armagh, which is very tall with two large spires going upwards, and I turned the camera naturally on its side like I would with a stills camera so it was only when I showed this 3-minute reel of Super 8 at my interview that suddenly it appeared horizontal in the screen. And I went, oh my God, that's cinema is horizontal. And the tutors, I got into the film school because they thought, because it was a cathedral Catholic church, that it was some critique on the fall of the church, or
what?
You're like, it's completely intentional.
And I was like, yes. It's post film rationalisation. I carried it off and I was like, yes, it was. It was
thank God you got my vision. Yes.
Yeah.
Artistic brilliance, but not so great at school, makes me think a bit of Nowhere Boy, which you were a cinematographer on, which I rewatched recently and absolutely loved. But was there, so you went from Armagh and then you moved to London to go to this film school.
Yeah.
And that seems potentially to be your kind of your moment of introduction to the world of films and cinema. Were there any films you were watching around that time that had a big impact on your process?
There were, actually. I was very lucky because having grown up in Armagh with the cinema had been burnt down, and after having shown Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs for several months and then it got torched, I was not a cineast. I really didn't know about cinema at all, but I was keen to learn about it. And when I arrived in London, I was very lucky. I got a job tearing tickets as an usher at the ICA, the Institute of Contemporary Arts.
Yeah.
And there they had this amazing Cinematheque, as well as the cinema that showed the bigger films. But the Cinematheque had a whole library and archive of 16mm films and videotapes that were used for research, for filmmakers would come in and you could rent a U-matic of Tarkovsky's Nostalgia or Mirror or Kiarostami, or like all these filmmakers that I was just like, suddenly my eyes were opened to the art house. And particularly the ICA had a very strong Asian kind of bent towards Asian cinema. So I learnt a lot about those filmmakers and Zhang Yimou and, just amazing cinema that blew my mind. So it wasn't just the old classics. There was contemporary cinema that was being made worldwide that was difficult to access at that time. There weren't many sort of rep cinemas in London at that time. There were a few, but there I was working in one, and I just devoured all those amazing films, and I learnt so much. And then the filmmakers would come and visit. I met Zhang Yimou, and Henri Alacon, the great cinematographer who made La Belle et la Bête for Cocteau. And, you know, this was like such an exciting time where I was just agog, literally, at this great work. And I learned so much. It was like, although I was at film school at that time, the film school was good, but it didn't have the undertow of world cinema. That wasn't really part of their curriculum. So this education ran hand in hand with my study at college, which was more about semiology and cinema theory, and it was a little bit dry as a biscuit. Whereas I shouldn't say that. My tutor might be watching this.
Developed a lot since then.
Yeah, but this was true cinema, and and you weren't being taught a doctrine about it. You were just sort of experiencing it in the real, and it was just left such an indelible imprint on my emotional imagination and my understanding of what a shot means and what a sequence of shot means, and yeah, it was just exhilarating.
Thank God for the ICA. Yeah. And I think you were going to the Prince Charles Cinema around that time as well.
The Prince Charles, because the great thing about the ICA was that as a worker there, I was tearing tickets but you got free tickets to every...
so you weren't sneaking in without them knowing. It was okay.
There was an arrangement, so all the Prince Charles ushers could come to us
and
in the ICA and vice versa. And but there was, I mean, you could even go to the Odeon Leicester Square. It was amazing. So for 5 years working there, I never paid for a cinema ticket.
And can you imagine?
So I went every single day.
Yeah.
I saw movies every day, and it was my film school.
Do you ever catch yourself wanting to recreate a shot that's in there somewhere from another movie, or how does that kind of work in your mind?
Sometimes, maybe unconsciously, but certainly not consciously, because I'm very lucky to have a kind of a goldfish memory. And like, I'm not a clever person, so I'm very intuitive and in the moment about things. So if I read something, I feel it there and then, but I usually quickly forget. That's why I have to write things down as soon as I've felt them, because otherwise I'll forget. And the same is true with, like, people said to me, "Oh, you've got no style as such. You know, you just sort of, every film you do is very different, and you know, that's not conscious at all. I'm a different cinematographer with every director I work with every script I work on, because that combination, that peculiar dynamic that exists between a director and a cinematographer, and not only that relationship, but the whole team produces, like, it's a multiplying factor, and you just, it's 1 + 1 = 3. There's always a third idea. There's always a multitude of ideas that comes from the centipede on overtime that is the film crew. And I love when people allow that to happen, that multiplication of ideas, because ultimately it is funneled through the director's final say, and that's exciting, because that's what makes it coherent, at least at the end of the day. It isn't just a scattergun of notions. It sometimes is when the ideas come in and people are, you know, excited about a project. I love when it starts getting refined and brought through that pinhole of looking, which is the director's responsibility ultimately. But it's also, it kind of blows away the kind of the kaleidoscope and makes it laser. And that's interesting to see, because an audience loves that. An audience loves to feel that they're in safe hands, and they're in they can feel the mind of a director, gently, hopefully, but strongly. I don't know if that's paradoxical, but you know what I mean. It's kind of like you want to be carried with velvet gloves through the cinema screen.
That's a very great image.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
I love the idea of being carried through a cinema
Yeah.
screen. That's
Fantastic.
perfect.
Cradled.
Yes, I do feel cradled. So let's talk a little bit about these incredible kind of long-standing creative relationships that you have, because your career is so varied. I mean, you go from High Fidelity to Along Came Polly to The Greatest Showman.
I've been trying to get that one off my IMDb for so long. How did you find out I shot Along Came Polly?
Did a lot of digging.
Oh God, then you're going to mention 50 Shades of Grey next, aren't you?
We may or may not be, but I think your work will also be remembered because you have these really long-standing creative relationships with some incredible directors, whether that's Joe Wright or Lynn Ramsey, who we've already discussed, Sam Taylor-Wood. Let's talk a little bit about Lynn, because you did just win a BIFA for Die My Love, which was just such an incredible...
Thank you, BIFA.
Congrats.
Thank you for an incredible film. But you've kind of spoken about Lynn being a ghost hunter, and you mentioned it there as well. And I love that idea. And also praising her for her kind of instinctual filmmaking. What does that look like on a day-to-day set?
Lynn is somebody with such extreme sensitivity to things around and to people's feelings. Forget about making a film. If you're sitting talking to her, she feels you, she understands you, she can see you. It's almost, when you're talking to Lynn, it's almost like being in a seance. It really is. It feels that important that there's some degree of perception that is not in the flotsam and jetsam of the here and now. It's an undertow, or it's celestial. There's something bigger than the here and now when you're talking to Lynn Ramsey, and that is why her cinema has profundity. It's just something I can't explain really, because on the day, film sets are a higgledy-piggledy mess. They are. You've been on film sets. You know what it's like. There's noise. There's chaos. There's like people tapping their watches, going, "We're not gonna make the day."
There's high vis.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all this going on. But the beautiful thing is that as soon as that clapperboard is hit, it is silent as a tomb. And something happens in that moment of tranquility, which is unusual. It doesn't even happen in real life, because in real life you've got stuff going on all the time. But in cinema, on a set, during the take, there's a peculiar form of silence that is very, I don't want to get too philosophical about it, but it is like a prayer. It is like there's something sacred about it, because it is like a church-like environment that you could hear a pin drop. And in that, actors can do something, because I think something descends upon them. There's an exchange, there's a contract between the wand, which is the camera, and the persona, which is the actor. And the room itself becomes a kind of a atomic field or something. Something happens that I don't know if it's magic, but to me, it kind of
magical.
epitomizes cinema for me, because it doesn't happen in real life, because there's too much going on. There's just something happens in that moment. And if it is deftly and gently recorded on digital or film, I think film is an added layer of mystery, which again tilts it towards the religious metaphor, because there's an alteration, there's something happens in that moment when there's a photochemical aspect to it. It does happen in digital too, because the illusion that digital is somehow truer or realer or is a facsimile is nonsense, because anytime you actually point a camera, put a lens on it or frame something, those decisions are being made that are editorial. But there's an added thing with celluloid and the bath and the soup of chemicals that takes it and delivers it from the actual. And that's very exciting, because I look at something that I've photographed one day, and a couple of days later you see it, the dailies, it's been shot in film, and you go, what happened there? Like, it's been altered by forces beyond your control. Sometimes the beauty of happenstance and accident, and dare I say it, fuck ups that beautify
and enhance it,
and enhance the real, is really a wonder to witness.
With Die My Love, with the camera work, you are having to capture the postpartum psychosis and really be within the mind of Grace, who is played by Jennifer Lawrence. And I know that there was a very specific creative choice to use Ektachrome,
yes, that's right.
reversal film, and shoot a lot of the day for night scenes. And what was that like?
Ektachrome reversal stock. It's like what you used to shoot your holiday photographs on, slides that you put in a little carousel, and so. But it's very slow, meaning it's not very sensitive to light. It's 100 ASA. So if you're shooting interiors, you need a lot of light. So we had a lot of light outside the windows pumping through to bring the exposure, to basically get an exposure.
Right, okay.
So that led to us lighting almost exclusively through windows and nothing else. So there was nothing really in the rooms. A little bit of film maybe. That gave the actors a lot of freedom to move around. But it also made me change the way. I'd never worked with Ektachrome before. Lynn had on Marvin Caller, but this was the first time I'd used it in motion picture, and it really changed the way I lit, because I wasn't gentle with the light. I basically was banging an 18K through a window, and
kind of goes against your original mantra of lighting quite simply.
It was bigger lights, but simply thrown. You know, so I had one big light outside the window, and that was it. So it was simple. It just was a very, very big light, an 18K HMI. So it made me light in a way I haven't lit before. But what it did was, the effect of Ektachrome is it's got unique color properties. So it's sort of got this otherworldly feel in terms of color. The colors don't reflect what you see with the naked eye. It has an enhancement. So we wanted, in talking with Lynn, who's started in cinematography and is so adroit as a cinematographer, so we could talk about these things with no fear of misinterpretation. So I love the way that the Ektachrome at the start of the film depicts happiness, nostalgia, levity and lightness and optimism. It has that sort of saccharine, sugary quality. And there's something quite beguiling and alluring about the colour. But then we wanted the same material, the same film stock, to describe a slightly rotten kind of discoloration of love, discoloration of the imagination, discoloration of a mind, go from stability to fragility. And it has that because it is a kind of volatile stock. It's really difficult to use. It's got very little latitude, so you've got to get the exposure right, and luckily we did for the most part. But you can go like a little bit one way, and you've destroyed the shot, or the other way, it's useless. So there's that kind of imperative to getting it. So it's that sort of idea that you're grasping on to something, and it has to be there. It's so that the very act of shooting chimed with the acting, what they were trying to depict in themselves as actors. And that, again, we were kind of just given the cinematography because we know the language of how to talk in photography. And that also led us to Day for Night. photography? Well, first of all, there was a practical reason, because we were shooting in Canada in the late summer, and there was no nighttime really.
Right,
There was
okay.
3 hours of nighttime anyway. So, and Lynn was like, we can't shoot all this stuff with 3 hours
In 3
at night.
hours, it's
So
impossible.
I said, well, what about day for night? And we liked the idea of being able to see distant fields and without that characteristic backlight night where everything falls off into black in the background. She wanted it to be this sort of fever dream of witnessing everything, and also living a kind of in an unreal sort of environment. You know, that kind of, is this real? Is day night? Is night day? You know, the things when everything envelops itself in a postpartum mind. So the route to day for night was kind of sent us by thinking about how to tell these feelings through the camera. And so I burnt, glass filters with candle smoke. It looked like I was doing crack cocaine on set, but it wasn't really, honest. It was just like
We need eyes on Seamus.
well, that one time at band camp. But no, we would black it off and then just paint
anything for the shot. Yeah.
We sort of painted out the bits that we wanted to see.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, and like Sissy Spacek walking along that road with the gun when she's sleepwalking. The moon in shot is actually the sun, and
Right,
the rest is just this blackened, and the candle smoke would diffuse the image as well in a really beautiful way. That sort of imperceptibility you have in a dream, or when you're trying to see at night, you can't. Everything's kind of slightly soft. So, and we loved the photography of Edward Steichen, the pictorialist photography of Steichen, who did a lot of cyanotypes and shot his night nocturnes by day.
Wow.
So that was the inspiration for them. So that's why we sort of timed it, graded it with a kind of cyan, oxidized copper wash. So yeah, it's just, it's nice to be able to talk to a director about photography in the language of cinematography instead of having to make a further translation for people to understand, when you're talking to them.
Yeah.
With Lynn, it's just like it's the cut to the chase.
Yeah. Oh, it's brilliant to hear the sort of marriage of the technical and the emotional, like really coming together. That's really...
Well, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's not what it should be.
Yeah. I rewatched We Need to Talk About Kevin recently when we knew we were talking to you, and I was thinking about the confrontation at the end with I think that's just some of the most beautiful lighting I've seen in the prison, when it's like they're both sort of cast in light and dark. And it feels like every time you pause some of these films that you worked on, like everything in the scene, in the still image of the scene, makes sense emotionally, almost in a way that I'd not really thought about before, because you're busy feeling the emotions of it. As an audience member, you're not necessarily, it's working if you're not thinking about the tech when you're watching it, but it's all there.
A scene like that is about getting the exposure right on the most brilliant performances.
Yeah.
You just set the camera up, roll it, and you've got Tilda Swinton.
Can't go too wrong.
Yeah, just brilliant.
I mean,
Yeah. Mind-blowing stuff. I'd love to ask you a bit about your use of colour as well, and the importance of colour within the visual arc of a story. I know there's that sort of brilliant, awful red running through We Need to Talk About Kevin. There's a moment there in cinematography where the production design and the set design and the costume all comes together.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a bit about colour from a cinematography side and how those departments all come together in it?
Yeah, I mean, I love talking about colour with those other departments, because when there is, like, film's a language, obviously, like a film is made up of the syntagm, the continuum of images like words in a sentence, and hopefully we can be eloquent with the trajectory of those words to create emotional impact. I love those discussions that happen in advance about how we might affect colour, or how the silence of things that are under the surface but are there speak to an audience without them even realizing that it's going in there. Like red, and we need to talk about Kevin, is a critical element in that. It's a harbinger of doom, whether it's jam or whether it's blood or whether it's the target or whether it's a sex scene with a neon light outside. I mean, all these connote sex, death, and body itself. The tomatoes.
Yeah.
So you know, all these things are interwoven. I love colour. And you know, again, going back to my art teacher, I remember him talking about Goethe, the German writer, and the colour theory, stuff that was absolute gobbledygook to me. That I was just like, what's Goethe? You know, and what is colour theory? And Johannes Itten, you know, in the Bauhaus, the teacher in the Bauhaus, who just took colour back to its psychological sort of epicenters and what colour means or can mean. And a lot of it is conjecture, of course. But, you know, I love even hearing the great cinematographer Vittorio Storaro talk about colour, and you know, and when he talks about the last emperor and the yellow signifies the loss of innocence, and you know, that is really exciting when people actually know what colour connotes and what it kind of the undertow towards a feeling that this colour can bring you. So when that imagistic eloquence is brought to bear as a team between costume and makeup and cinematography, lighting, I think an audience sort of feels it. I'm not sure. I'm not completely in agreement that one colour means one thing. Like green does not mean jealousy to me, but it puts you in a place where you know that it's been thought about. So I think that if the performance is towards jealousy, if the performance is towards the portent of death, then the red means something. It kind of signals it.
Because red was also an important colour in nocturnal animals as well, wasn't it? Yeah.
I mean, sort of for the same reasons.
Yeah.
You know, the sofa, the red hair. I think we like that sort of Pavlovian response. When you're watching a film, you think this is coming up, something's coming up. It's
a sense of foreboding.
It's foreboding, and it's a gong. There's something wordlessly resonant about the use of colour, because it's not a word. It's a thing that we feel, and it has a vibration, which, you know, it's like dolphin clicks that go underneath the skin without you recognising what it actually means, but it's there, which is sort of critical to why cinema is unique. It's just that kind of persistence of vision that happens in the flicker, in the darkness, most of which of your time in a cinema is spent in darkness, or half of it at least, with the shutter speed, with the flicker of a projector.
I'd love to talk a little bit about your other collaboration with Joe Wright.
Yes.
Because you have worked on a number of things, both film and TV, with him. Atonement, Anna Karenina, which both earned you Oscar nominations. Black Mirror and Cyrano. How much has your professional relationship and your shorthand changed since, you know, knowing each other all those years ago when you were working in a music shop in King's Cross?
Yeah. Joe and I are really close friends. And we've known each other since both of us didn't know what end of a camera to look through. So that is an enduring friendship that it doesn't lead to shorthand. I mean, quite the opposite. It allows us to discover things fresh without the imperative of saying that we know what we're about to do.
Okay.
It gives us the, I suppose, confidence in being able to say, I have no idea. I mean, Joe would never say that because he is very confident, but it allows me to say, I have no fucking idea what we're going to do here. But
It's exciting though, isn't
it is exciting because I've just worked with Greta Gerwig and she said the same thing regularly. She said, what do we do here? We'll figure it out. And the excitement of knowing that somebody so brilliant as Joe can go, let's ruminate over this for a bit and say, we need to spend these 10 minutes when an AD is looking at their watch going, let's get a move on. Yeah. Saying, like Joe, he doesn't smoke anymore, but like he would roll up a cigarette and he'd just go, let's have a think about this, And I love that when people go, hold the horses. A film is for life, not just for Christmas. We need to think about this for a minute and let the dust settle on all the excitement that's going on around us here. Let's work this out. If we go down this path, we're stuck with it forever. And let's have a think about it. And a lot of those things in Mussolini, for instance, there was a lot of pre-planning because it was very specific visually. But a lot of things came out of the improvisational brilliance of actors like Luca Marinelli. When you've got a plan in place, Joe always has a shot list every day. It's printed out on A3, and that gives him the ability to be elastic in rethinking or reimagining a la Sauvette on the day, on the fly. And there's this fantastic relief in that. And also it gives you the energy to continue to look. There's no lackadaisical, this is we've got 13 shots to do today and this is what we're going to do and lay the track over there. It's like you've got a plan, but there's the permission to deviate from it. It just gives you this, you're alive all day. You're looking all day. You're vividly scrutinizing everything. And that's what I love about making films, is that how live it is. It's live, but it's forever.
Yeah.
It's like my most exciting thing is when I'm looking through the camera and I'm witnessing a performance that I'm just going, this is my little private cinema, especially on film where the video image is so shite that they're not looking at what I'm seeing. And I'm like, this is electric. And I'm in my private cinema before millions see it.
Oh, yeah, the first to see it. That's so obvious now, but I didn't think about it in that way. That's so exciting.
The magic keyhole. Yeah. You're just like looking through this thing.
Oh, that's so cool.
And going, I've just discovered the tomb of Tutankhamun and I'm Howard Carter seeing it for the first time. What is that glimmer? It's fucking Tutankhamun's sarcophagus.
Oh, that's magic.
That's what it feels like when you see something for the first time.
I'm sure. A scene that probably encapsulates that in Atonement is maybe that Dunkirk beach scene, because whilst I'm sure there were weeks of preparation, and I think you said you only had 3 goes to get it right, I'm sure there was a lot of kind of having to let things be and embrace the things that were going wrong. What were some of those challenges, and what were the things that maybe did go wrong that actually enhanced that incredible shot?
Lots went wrong. I mean, but again, it had to be chaotic. And I mean, I was just a bystander on that. I mean, I helped to talk about how we might do it with Joe and with Sarah Greenwood, the designer. The hero of that shot was Peter Robertson, who's the Steadicam operator, and I've worked with on like 10 films. He's absolute genius. I get nervous watching that shot, but Pete he's the guy who did it amongst the 1,000 extras and everybody. I mean, that was really the epitome of it takes an army of people to make something that you think is, I mean, it got me an Oscar nomination, that shot, but I kind of haplessly a bystander on it. And I didn't even want to do the shot.
Yeah,
I
I
actively
read that.
tried to dissuade Joe from doing it, because I said, this is just after us being so fastidious about thinking about our cinematography and about how to tell the story with the camera. This is just a peacock of a shot. And he argued me around. He said, look, I see what you mean, but think of it this way. It has to be a carousel. It has to be the end of Robbie's life. It has to be this sort of almost, the last gasp. And it's like it's like Hades. It's like a deathly carousel of surreal shards of memory of hellish war. And think of Goya, think of, and I was like, yeah, all right.
Okay.
You got me.
You told
You got me on
around.
Goya.
Yeah.
So
And he's got that to lord over you now.
no, and then then right enough, I got an Oscar nomination out of it, and I was like, okay, thanks, Joe.
Maybe you were right.
Working with Joe Wright and across a couple of your collaborations, actually, there's been a big change in budget, and obviously at BIFA we're quite sort of biased towards independent filmmaking, but of course that comes with its own constraints of, sometimes the shoot time is really, really tight, and maybe that AD is really tapping you on the shoulder to get that shot done. As a cinematographer, how do you find that difference between budget? If you have a big studio film, maybe you can do more, but sometimes the brilliance comes out of those limits.
It's weirdly the same.
Really? Okay, interesting.
I mean, people might not believe me when I say that, but it's kind of the same. Even on if I do the Avengers or Godzilla, or those Behemoth films, you've still got somebody going,
Yeah.
or, there's more help, and there's more to look at, and there's more people running around like a termite mound of filmmakers. But still, at the epicenter, when that clapperboard goes on, you've still got a camera, performers in front, acting, and there's always the same budgetary sort of corralment. It's bizarre.
Yeah, same problems but a different scale almost.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what your take is, because I don't know if you're aware that there's a bit of a debate online about lighting, and that lighting in the current day, maybe people are becoming a bit overly reliant on the advancements of the camera technology. With digital films, they can basically light like a really dark room, and people feel as though that has affected the films that we see in the last kind of 5-ish years compared to, the lighting from the noughties or earlier. And I'm just curious to know what you think about that, because there's a lot of discourse and a lot of negativity thrown at those departments who are obviously, doing a lot of incredible work. And I'm sure that you must have some feelings about that.
I do. And I have noticed a change, and there are always going to be changes as technology sort of imparts its pluses and minuses towards our art form of cinematography. I can speak, with knowledge of. But I have noticed in lighting, the use of LEDs, for instance, I've noticed and grimaced at some of the lighting that I've seen in recent years, that I think people, as the softer sources of LED have come into play, and the lower light levels that are possible with the sensitivity of sensors on cameras, I call it a kind of a color contrast mulch light, which is like, foreground color, background contrasting color, light going nowhere, but at a very low level. And the contrast is created with color difference between foreground and background. And, I miss the statement of intent of a light source hitting an actor or a background, and it being impactful in some way. Unfortunately, budgets are slimming and speed is of the essence. So the low register style of obscurity is popular with producers.
Yeah.
But it's hard to watch. I find it. I mean, I'm so bad because I'm very guilty of sometimes overlighting or being conservative with the lighting or wanting to see stuff. And I'm learning to be braver at the age of 58. Now finally in my twilight years, but like now finally realizing that I can be braver with darkness, because as Chrissy Hine says, it's a thin line between dark and fired.
There's some similar conversations around the amount of coverage people shoot in scenes at the moment as well. Do you have thoughts on that too?
Because I don't live in an edit suite, I'm very envious of what happens in an edit suite. But I also don't go near an edit suite because the few times I have been in other filmmakers' edit suites, all I hear is people fucking cursing out the camera person.
Oh no.
Because they're like, so, we are the bête noirs in the edit suite. They're like,
the drama.
What the fuck were they thinking?
And you're like, well, actually, I was thinking that.
Yeah. So you don't go near. If I went into an edit suite, I'd be hung, drawn, and quartered for all the bad decisions I made. So I tend not to venture into those lions' dens. But I like when you don't have a formulaic approach to coverage. When there's a good choice of shots that can go either direction, that aren't prescriptive in terms of how the edit might work. Joe is really adroit at that style of shooting. I mean, he has... Atonement, for instance, was, I joke about it. He showed me, I was down with him last Christmas, and he showed me, he said, look, here's our storyboard. He'd done all these stick insects, and we usually spend a couple of weeks in camera in a room, sort of with endless cups of tea, working out. He does the storyboards and we just talk about it. But he went through the film, and it was every shot with the clapperboards chopped off. I mean, it was really specific, Atonement.
Wow. Yeah.
But with Lynn, for Die My Love, the edit was this panoply of possibilities.
Yeah.
It was completely played with time in a very interesting way. I was so shocked when I saw the film in Cannes. I saw it there for the first time, and I was just
that's amazing.
My gosh, like this is a very brave edit. And I love that it's just playing with time. It's again the essence of the medium.
Yeah, is
the torquing of what's the real, because the continuum exists physically in the projection, so that gives you the surety of A to Z.
Yeah.
So time can be mixed up within that, but you still know that you're going to be finishing this film in 2 hours' time.
Yeah.
And so that gives you the through line, the trajectory. So I love that it's an imperative to joust and play with time in cinema, and our shot choices should enable that dexterity of choice in the edit.
Do you have a favourite shot of all time?
Oh God. I mean,
That's
of course. Well,
Yeah.
it's just I'm just being showered with frames at 24 frames a second coming down
Seamus
on me.
McGarvey Moan Palace of shots is...
But I love In a Matter of Life and Death, Paul and Pressburger. I love when Robespierre comes down and says we are starved of Technicolor up there. That's because it's so playful with the medium, it's so meta, but it's also mixing history and it's also glowing. Jack Cardiff was a mentor to me and was a great friend, and I just love the way he was so painterly with his approach to photography. Every every frame that he ever photographed is just like shivering with pictorial kind of emotion. So I like that one. God, what else? I just want one more. It's a very simple shot, but every time I see it, it nearly makes me burst into tears. And it's on a mirror, and it's a woman sitting on a fence, and the whole field that she's looking out at, just suddenly, the crop in the field suddenly starts moving and comes towards her, and it's just...
I know the exact shot that you're... Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's so beautiful because it's a silent shot of a person sitting looking out into a landscape, and suddenly the landscape ignites with rhythm and kineticism and ghostly presence, and then settles, and it takes my breath away.
Can we ask for the record where you keep your BIFA?
I'm very lucky that I was awarded a BIFA this year, and it's a beautiful award, but I've nearly been murdered by it a few times, and I now keep it by the front door because I realise it could be useful in self-defence if anybody broke into the house.
Oh yeah.
It sits on a shelf, and it fell off the shelf and nearly brained me because it is like it's like a guillotine.
It is a particularly sharp edge.
It's an offensive weapon. I mean, I work because I live in Italy, and I couldn't even, I was afraid of bringing it back home to Italy because I thought that it'd get confiscated as an offensive weapon.
Can we ask about your favourite road movie? We've been having this debate, me and Karis.
I love road movies. I love road movies because I love conversations that happen in cars. I mean, it's essential to cinema is movement and journey, and it's built into road movies. My favourite road movie, I would have to say, is Alice in the Cities and Wim Wenders, because it's a meta image. It's about photography. It's about family. It's about a journey, an emotional journey, as well as a physical journey, and it's beautifully photographed by Robbie Muller, one of my favourite cinematographers of all time. And it's in black and white, and it's just so beautifully filmed in black and white that I sort of see it in colour. That's how evocative the photography is. And the Polaroid, almost when they take photographs, it feels like the movie's in colour, because it allows you to project onto the screen, and I project onto that story in vibrant colour.
Is there a film that you've rewatched the most?
Fantastic Voyage.
Okay.
Nice.
Which I just love because I saw it when I was a kid, and I was just absolutely transfixed by it. It's so dodgy B movie, but it got under my skin. I think about it a lot and I watch it a lot.
Well, not much left to say other than thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. This has been such a fascinating chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you,
I've had
Karis.
the best time. Thank you. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the BIFA Podcast. We really hope you enjoyed it. Please consider leaving us a like, a comment, rating the episode 5 stars, and above all, making sure to subscribe so that you can catch new episodes as they land every other Wednesday. Also, please consider telling a friend about it IRL so we can make sure all the film fans are able to find us. The hosts were Karis, Aldridge and Joy Hunter. The show was produced by the BIFA team and filmed at Bleat Post Production. Thanks for listening.